my daughter for a nap, and I thought I would talk again a little bit more about how to spend less money on groceries, because groceries are so expensive, and I just, myself, and after talking with all of my friends, that it ends up being such a large portion of our budget for the month. And I do have to say, I was pregnant last year, very sick. I did not do well spending less on groceries. We spent a lot on groceries. I was super, if you're in a tough season, if you have an infant, if you have multiple children and have just had a baby, and sometimes you just have to let up on certain things, and maybe you need to order takeout or you need to do X, Y, and Z in order to get by, and sometimes that's okay. Because I was so sick, I could only eat certain things. Every day something different sounded good, and I would order Chipotle or take out Thai food. And then by the end of my pregnancy, I had developed a lot of food allergies, so I was eating very strictly paleo style. That was very expensive. I was eating just basically like meat all the time, or not paleo, more like carnivore style. Just eating a lot of meat all the time. If you want to make the effort and you aren't in like a trying season of life, I really do think it is possible for most people to significantly cut down their grocery bill. For us, you know, 2 adults, we've been able to spend as low as $250 a month on groceries and eat really well. Right now, I'm spending around $350, but $300 is definitely very doable. We definitely supplement in other ways. I have a garden. My husband likes to hunt, so we usually get 1 or 2 deer a year and maybe a turkey or 2 in there. Want your binky? Yeah, let's get your binky. So we do these other things, and it definitely allow us to spend even less on our groceries. But even if we didn't do those things, I could absolutely 100% have us eat really well off of $300 a month. And I wanted to give you some tips in case that's something that you want to do on how to do that. First and most important tip is for you to learn how to cook intuitively. This does not mean you pick out all of the recipes that you want to cook and then you go to the grocery store and you buy everything and then you come home and cook those recipes. This is the exact opposite. You're going to buy what's in season, buy what's on sale, and then you're going to learn to cook intuitively in your kitchen. So that just means learning to look at the ingredients that you have, just kind of be creative and use what you have to make a really good meal. I think this gets really easy over time. At first, obviously, this is very difficult. At first, you might need to follow the basics of recipes, like learning how to make a good roast. What do you need to put in a roast to make a good roast? Well, you need a really good fat. You need some really yummy, delicious salt in there. You need some herbs. You need either some stock or some water, and then it's good to have some root vegetables in there. Just kind of knowing the basis of things, and then you can switch that up, really make that however you want. Or like knowing how to make a stir fry, knowing how to make a pizza, just like knowing the basics. Or a soup, honestly, making soup is one of the most cost-effective, delicious, and good for you things that you can make. Anyways, learning how to do all these things and then kind of looking through your kitchen and then cooking accordingly. A lot of us do have recipes that we already like to cook, things that we already like to do, but if you don't, you can kind of just look at the basis of a recipe and see how they cook something, and then just sub in your ingredients that you have. If you're cooking something and it calls for, say it's a chicken stir fry and it calls for snow peas and carrots, and you only have broccoli and cauliflower, we'll sub those in, make the recipe. That is my number one skill set, I think, in the kitchen that allows me to not have to shop for recipes. It allows me to not be stressed out when I'm cooking. It allows me to not really think of what I'm going to make that far in advance, because I know I always have backups that I can do. I can always make a soup, I can always make a roast, I can always do X, Y, and Z. It's going to save you so much money. It's so expensive to go to the grocery store with recipes in mind and buy things that way. So I would highly recommend just honing in on your skill set of cooking, shopping for recipes, but instead shopping to stock your pantry, shopping for things that are nutritious and full of value, not just empty calorie foods, and really just having a well-rounded pantry, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then number 2 is really focusing on when you are cooking those recipes and learning to cook intuitively is just making really simple, really simple, delicious meals. Like, think about what people used to make way back in the day when they were growing all their own food. Like, they would have really yummy carrots that just came out of the ground. They would have a roast of beef from down the road from their friend. They might have some milk and some bread. So like, make really simple recipes that are nourishing for the body and easy to make, and also cost a lot less money. Always include protein, always include a really healthy fat, a carb, and just making those really simple recipes. And then when you have the time or you have the funds, you can make those really fun meals on the weekend, or you might make something that's a little bit out of your comfort zone. You don't have to try to do that on a regular basis, because you also will totally wear yourself out, and it's going to be really hard to make everything homemade and try to buy in bulk and make bread, and you're going to be exhausted. So cook simply. The last tip is to buy in large quantities. Also, she likes having her arm out, so I'm not forcing her to do this, but she enjoys that. Makes her feel like she has control. Buy in large quantities and keep a traditional style pantry. So what you're going to do is think about your grandparents or great grandparents. Think about if you had a farm or a garden and you were buying everything locally from other people who were farming and gardening, and stock your pantry accordingly. So you want to have grains that you can eat. You always want to have really good quality fat on hand. You always want to have really good quality meat on hand, and keep it super simple. Buy ingredients instead of pre-made food. That will save you so much money. Buy these items in bulk. When you can buy a half a cow or a quarter of a cow, you're going to save so much money. And really plan and think in advance when you're doing this. This saves me so much money. Every month, what I do is I kind of think about the whole year, and I think about my pantry, and I think about the larger items that I will need to purchase from month to month. So there's meat, there's sweetener like honey. I try to use all natural sweetener if possible. That's a little bit more expensive. High quality fats, things like lard, tallow, avocado oil, olive oil. Flour, keeping really good quality flour on hand is definitely a high priority. And so I just kind of think every month, what am I running low on, and what am I going to need? And so this month I made a purchase of a 12-pound jug of honey from Azure Standard, and that was a little bit more of an expensive purchase, but I know that jug of honey will last us for the year, and I like having it on hand. So that was my large purchase for the month. And so I'm thinking ahead to next month, and next month our large purchase is going to be some meat. So I'm going to order a portion of meat for our family. So I'm just thinking through those things every month and making purchases accordingly, and then with the rest of my budget I will purchase carrots and milk and eggs and all of the greens if I want salad greens, all of the things that I want to have on hand for that. Would highly recommend buying in bulk. Definitely look at your pantry, assess everything as needed, and you can do it. Don't make it too complicated. I mean, it's super simple. That was 3 things that could potentially save you hundreds of dollars. I mean, I know some of you are probably spending $1,500, $1,200, $1,000 on groceries. So the thought of spending $300 on groceries is like, how is that even possible? Well, you don't have to just jump right down to $300. You can save a few $100s instead. So definitely do that by learning to cook intuitively. Don't go grocery shopping for recipes. Instead, go grocery shopping, look at what's on sale, look at what's nutritious, look at what you can buy in bulk, and then learn to cook those simple, delicious meals that will save you so much money. Buy ingredients instead of buying pre-made food, and then learn to buy in bulk, stock a pantry. You can get a shelf and put a shelf downstairs and put some gallon buckets and fill those up with flour. You can be so creative with it. It's so easy to stock food. We got an extra freezer and extra refrigerator just to stock our extra food, and that has worked so well for us. So do what works best for you, but just know that it is possible. It just comes with kind of changing up your lifestyle a little bit. If you're used to ordering takeout, or if you're used to buying pre-made food, it might take a little bit more effort, but it will certainly be worth it. And think about all the things that you can do with that extra money. You could invest that extra money, you could save for a home, you could use that for fun money for your family, and guaranteed you will be also eating better. The majority of the food that we eat is locally grown or locally sourced, or a lot of it is organic as well. So you could eat better and have more funds on hand. It just takes a little bit of that initial effort to get going. So take one step at a time. You don't have to do it all. Even if you can save $100 on your groceries this month, you know, what would that $100 do for you? So that's something fun and exciting to think about. So I hope this was helpful. I'm a little scatterbrained because I am newly postpartum, but plan to make some more videos to talk about this. So if you have ideas or things that you want to hear about, definitely let me know, and we will see you soon.